let's see. So, when it comes to, LinkedIn, everybody talks about, for job seekers, right? Like it's a great way to get visibility. And what is it? I think I pulled that stat, like 91% of hiring managers, not just recruiters, but hiring managers are looking at social media, usually LinkedIn. They're looking at it as much as they would a resume. So, and it's not just your profile and your about section and all that stuff, but it actually is like, what are you putting out there? Personally, this is something like I struggle with. I tend to talk myself out of, like, I feel like, well, everybody has said this 15 ways to Sunday. Do I have anything extra valuable to add? Yeah. Megan, you get to feel the same thing.
Yeah, and especially like when I see, some people that I used to work with that weren't great leaders talking about, oh, this is my view on leadership. And I'm like, oh God, like I don't like that's like I don't want to come across like that either, like being inauthentic.
Right.
So that's where I struggle too. And, you know, uh,
Yeah.
adding something that someone else hasn't already said.
Right. Well, and actually, and one thing on that, what I also try to remind myself though with it is that's probably what's coming through my feed and my network, but not necessarily everybody's got the same network of people posting. So like they're not necessarily hearing the same thing 15 million times. But also if this is also kind of meant as an addendum to your resume, like looking at it that way, even if it's not totally unique. So it sort of depends on like what you're going for. I think a different, like when you're actually in a company and you sort of want to be a voice, then that may be one where you're posting less often, but you're trying to come up with something like truly unique. But maybe it's not so bad, when you're experimenting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Um, how often, if you guys want to put this in the comments, I'm curious, how often are you posting to LinkedIn now? Do you have a regular schedule? Are you doing it kind of as you are inspired to write something?
I don't have a schedule, but I've been hearing more and more that that's the recommendation.
Yeah,
And some people actually break it down into I'm gonna I'm gonna post something original on Tuesdays. I'm gonna repost an article on Thursdays or whatever, and then I'm gonna make a personal comment on Friday.
that's
So
great.
they always know like what type of post they're gonna do per day.
Right,
Uh,
right.
I mean, for me, it would be something hard to because I'm not used to it.
Yeah.
But that's what I've been hearing more and more.
Anybody else? Okay, so yeah, it's writer's block. I'm having that right. That Tiffany, you're the same thing with you is it's very difficult to understand, like to know what to post about, what's the mix. Fernando, I admire that you actually are trying to do a schedule. I started with that, trying to do that, and then I sort of ran out of ideas very, very quickly. So I want to share. And actually, a question too, as I'm going to share a document or a workbook with everybody here.
I say some of the things about like posting about job searching though, like
Yeah,
I think that it's a fine line between ranting and complaining versus like having something good to say
yeah,
or a tip or something. Like you see a lot of ranting and bitching about how it's broken, but it's not like this is how we should move to fix it type of thing.
Mhm.
It's just complaining. So
That's a really great point. Because yes, there's sort of one thing which is that, I've seen a lot of really funny things about the job search too, and it's some pretty cool stuff like you can share, people a little tongue in cheek and stuff, but being really, really careful about that because if an employer really is actually looking to your LinkedIn and all it is complaining about the job search or 50% of it is it's not a good look, even if it's valid and true and even if it's all like done well and maybe not so much of a rant, but just being careful about the balance of that. um I
yeah.
I realized I was posting because my experience right now is about the job search. I was posting kind of a lot about the job search and then realized that I didn't want that to be the overwhelming focus if somebody pulled up my LinkedIn. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think that's a really good point.
I did the same thing, and I was attracting HR people, and it's like I'm not in HR, So
That's that, which is, and that's really good. It shows, you know, knowing your audience is really important. I'm gonna flip. I just added something here to the chat, and hopefully you guys can see it. I'm gonna kind of flip to. I'm not gonna go through all these, but let me screen share for a sec.
It's funny because last week I saw somebody posting. It was not a rant, but it was a very heartfelt um, description of the process and what he's been going through, and the hundreds of applications, the small amount of interviews, the fact that he was reaching the end of his savings and starting to tap into 401k and that kind of stuff. So it was very, very heartfelt.
Yeah.
Um, and there was obviously it got a lot of air coverage. There was mainly support, but there was one comment from a career coach precisely saying that she does not recommend her clients to post about job search or how hard it is or how long have you been at it, etc. Because some recruiters might see it as a negative. And his reply was, "I get you, but this post that I just made is the most important move I have made in my job search."
Wow.
Why? Because I went from having 100 views to a post to 78,000 views on my post.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I have already received calls from 5 people wanting to connect me with somebody else, etc. So thank you for your advice, but this for me worked.
That's
So it was eye-opening. I mean, I guess it gives you something to consider, right?
yeah,
I said it's a balance.
yeah. It's a balance. I think it's also it isn't always volume either, but it's about casting the net wide enough. You're going to get the right kind of people who are going to get what you're talking about is heartfelt. Um, I'm
I,
glad you
I
responded that way though, because I bet a lot of people feel the same.
I can jump in on this if so. I took a LinkedIn class. It was free. Kara Redman, who's worth following on LinkedIn, um, runs a creative agency called, excuse me, Backroom. And there's a lot to this, but to Fernando's point, I think any LinkedIn job hunt, whatever discussion, needs to be prefaced with your mileage may vary. There is a ton, like just a litany, a torrent of awful recommendations on what to do in LinkedIn, and I think in the job hunt, and in many cases at best it's circumstantial. So like if you're looking for the hottest, coolest, whatever pre B round uh venture capital, whatever, pre-seed startup, your strategy is going to look a lot different than if you're just like, I'm only going after blue chip Fortune 500 enterprise companies, and what you post is going to be different. Now, all that being said, I think the first question about that, like, I haven't been posting on LinkedIn because like I didn't see the ROI, and I talked to a lot of people. I'm not saying that there isn't one. I'm just saying I didn't see it, and like, you know, maybe there was stuff going on in the background, and I, quit before the miracle happened. But I just worked on other things. But bringing to bear what that we discussed in the LinkedIn class, and Kara has built a massive following. One thing that she did when she was really building it was max out. I don't know if there's a max if you have premium, but she would just every weekend just max out her invites. And what that allowed the so all of this is just you're stoking the fire of the algorithm and you're keeping that fire going. And like sometimes you're pouring fuel on it, and there are a couple different ways to do it. And by the way, like I can talk about this for a second, so if anybody wants to tell me to shut up, go ahead. But by doing that, she all of a sudden was curating an audience of her target demographic, and that also made the algorithm then show her more of that, and sent it to other people that she was targeting. So if you want to get razor sharp on that, if you're going after a company, you add all of the people in, we'll say marketing, HR, as much as you can, and then once they accept, if you start up a chat with them and they respond, it's going to start showing you in their feed. And then you can turn a cold lead into potentially a warm lead if you introduce yourself with, they're posting content, you like it or whatever. Hey, I thought this was a great take or whatever. And then later up and follow up, hey, I saw this job at your company, blah, 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 blah. Not rocket science there. The other thing that I found more valuable than the posting thing is the commenting, because then that also shows you them. And if you have somebody, and we had somebody on one of these calls, some weeks back, if she comments on one of your posts or whatever, it shows their entire network. So, and then lastly, I'll say about the commenting thing and the optics, there's really two levers that you're pulling there. There's maximizing your engagement and audience. And the fact of the matter is, like, hot takes, rage bait, controversy, or whatever, that spreads it. But there's then the potential drawback of, is your take too spicy or whatever. And then there's the valuable input. And so it's balancing these two different poles when you're doing the posting thing. I mean, generally speaking, we narrowed in that, time of day that's best is, earlier in the morning, 8 to 10. And then, I asked Kara about it, and she's like, again, this is up to you. It's what brand do you want to, have on LinkedIn? And she said it's very fluky. The algorithm might, pay attention one day, and another day it won't. And her biggest post by far had nothing to do with her agency, had nothing to do with, it was her complaining about an Apple mouse and the design of it. And all of these like Mac bros piled in, and they were like, who are you, lady? Like Steve Jobs, like, blah, blah, blah. But it got like tens of, maybe hundreds of thousands of, impressions, hundreds of comments. And she was like, I had to hand my phone to my partner because I would just get pulled into this like dumpster fire flame, whatever. But I mean, it got massive, but like magnitudes more than any other thing that she posted. But at the end of the day, some of the ROI is a bit hard to quantify. So I think that the laser focus on building the specific audience, finding key influencers in your job hunt, and then trying to get the algorithm to steer more sharply to what you're trying to accomplish is the way to do it. But there's just so many different levers to look after as you're doing it. I'll leave it there.
Those are really good points, because and especially, as you mentioned, commenting, which I think the benefit, if you're going to spend time really focusing, it's like the commenting, because I was kind of looking up, we sort of also, sort of what's best practices, what amount of time should you put where, but commenting is, not only does it share to my network, if I'm commenting on somebody else's, like I'm seeing, that's oftentimes where I'm following people. I'm like, because of maybe one of your guys' comments on somebody else, and I didn't even realize that they existed. And I'm realizing, wow, they have really fantastic stuff that's intriguing. I've also had people like within the job search arena reach out because of comments I've made. I'm like, oh, well, I'm posting. Why is this happening? And then, of course, third, the algorithm favors, if you're commenting, engaging more, it's going to be more likely to post your content that you're actually putting on your feed more often. So I've heard something about, like, if you're going to post, uh, focus on commenting a few days prior, especially like double down on that, then post, then respond to comments on your own post, especially within that first hour, and then continue from there. But Joe, you also mentioned, like, I think it is about tailoring. It's not just exposure, but it's like, what do you do from there if you hit big on one of your posts? It's like, what are your follow-ups like, so that you don't just keep going feeding the beast of what's might giving you exposure, but then it's sort of like, okay, how can I hone it in from there?
The other thing I just wanted to say on the commenting strategy, that's also something that should be precise. So like low value, shall we say, at least as perceived by the algorithm, comments like congratulations on a new job. I don't think that moves the needle very much. I think the algorithm is sharp enough to like recognize when it's a higher value comment. But then, if it's open ended and you can keep drumming up engagement, again, that's going to show you not only to the people who you're commenting on, or your own post, but also their whole following, or whatever. So what I found is that commenting, again, for me, commenting moved the needle on profile views, which I think is a higher value metric, whereas posting moved the needle on impressions. So like I while the profile views could and did move up a little bit concurrent with massive impression engagement, I found that commenting more move that needle far more, because one is just like sort of somebody's passively consuming your content
Mhm.
versus they're actively engaging with you, or you're actively engaging with them. And somebody might be like, huh, that's a good take, or that's a bad take, and who is this guy or lady, whatever. So I've just found that commenting and and messaging are more powerful than the posting. And then at the same time, you don't have to worry about writer's block and whatever else. And I think just blocking out, X amount of time, whatever that looks like for you, to comment, you can knock out that strategy. And as far as the writer's block thing, I would just use GPT, prompt it, you're a master social media writer, say for the job hunt, give me some ideas, and then, just keep drilling it from there. Because like, I don't know, I don't think that it's really worth spending a lot of creative juice really trying to tweak, LinkedIn, content. Maybe some people would disagree with me. And the other thing is, I've heard hashtags don't matter. You can use them, you can not use them, but I've heard it's 6 of one,
Yeah.
half a dozen of the other. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Hashtags matter on other social media platforms, but really not as much on LinkedIn. And especially, it's really a bad look when you have like 20 hashtags after something. It just looks like you're trying to spam the LinkedIn network. Um, I will say, like, anecdotally though, interesting. Um, PeerPod wouldn't exist without LinkedIn and comments, and authenticity. There was, going through the job search and everything. Um, and you see other people who are also going through it, but they're trying, maybe they are GPTing it, which also is a good thought starter as well. But the ones that really resonate with me is also like, they're kind of raw and they're not worried about end dashes and things like that, but are just saying like, okay, here's my hot take on something. And you could kind of tell after a while, it's like the format of chat GPT on LinkedIn is like, oh God, here we go again, you know. But somebody was talking about, yeah, reaching, like Fernando, you mentioned, like reaching their limit on what, this is really going to have a huge impact on their life, not being able to find a job, and how painful it is, and just like the rejection process. And I was like, I think we all need a support group. I don't know if any of you were. And then there were comments on my comment, and then I just posted based on the input from that comment to, would this be helpful? Like, should we do this? And then based on that, that ended up being like one of my highest engagement posts. While also randomly, to Joe's point too, I had also kind of put up the highest reach I got was from basically a cartoon I generated from AI about you being a unicorn and being passed over, you could still be a unicorn. That thing got like 30,000 impressions and like, okay. So I think a lot of it is experimentation too, carefully, and making sure that what people are going back and seeing if they do become a part of your network, that it's going to represent you well. Um, there were a few things also, I think, Joe, you mentioned too, in terms of algorithms and stuff, and then just sort of, I threw some stuff on this as far as tips and tricks. And again, take those for what it's worth. I don't think these are like earth shattering, but let's see. Let me see if I can pull this up. Um, we just talked about comments getting the higher engagement, but you know, engaging with other people's comments. I think Robin Story, who visited us last month, she did say like at the minimum, I think it was like make sure it's more than 6 words because it will skip over that. So it's not just reacting and going, nice point. It's actually what's valuable to say over and above that. I would also say if you do repost somebody else's, don't just straight repost it. I had this feedback recently, like, add a comment. You don't have to add a whole lengthy thing on top of it. That's its own post, but like, add some comments on top of that. If not sure what to look at as far as other people and commenting. It's safe space is everybody in PeerPod here. I mean, I know that there are a number of people who are posting fairly regularly and comment on those. Although I see, especially you here, I've seen like Kara, I've seen you do that, and it's like it's helpful because it not only helps them get a little more exposure, but it does give you some fuel, and it's sort of like a friendly space to comment and talk and have a conversation. I know that there was just questions that I'd heard come up in the past about editing a post. Like it's not a big deal to edit a post, but don't go crazy with it. Repost.
Wait, on that one. So this was one thing Kara said and was adamant about.
Yeah.
If you post something, you can edit it like after 4 hours, but if you edit it in that window, it is the ultimate algorithm destroyer, like in a bad way. So she's like, unless you have something nuclear, do not edit your posts.
Interesting. I wonder why that is.
I don't know, but that was like one of the things that she was like, do not do this. If you have a comma you missed, not a big deal. If you feel like the need to do it later, whatever, go ahead. And I think it's the same deal with deletion of posts.
Yeah, that makes sense. So 4 hours, that's a good,
that's my recollection. Like I can't remember if it's something she was like in a time, she's like, just do it the next day. I mean, basically is what she said, if you need to, like, and one of the other things that she said is like, and I think this is like maybe the best piece of advice in the entire workshop. It's whatever you post. I mean, unless you are posting, homages to, famous German figureheads from the 1930s, what you're posting on LinkedIn isn't going to be that big of a deal. And frankly, most people don't care and most people aren't watching. And so she's like, take everything with a grain of salt and a sense of proportion. So I think that's also something to keep in mind. And also like, your brand or whatever. I mean, think about it this way. Unless somebody is like super negative and toxic, if you're a hiring manager and they interviewed well and you got a good vibe and their LinkedIn profile looks pretty on point and, whatever, they have a portfolio and they pass the assignment and their resume kicks ass, are you really going to go there and be like, this person seems like a negative Nelly, I'm not going to hire them? I mean, maybe if you have like just this insane stable of people lining up for your gig, yeah, maybe. But like, I think that's another thing that's like overhyped and people can get neurotic about it.
I agree with you there. I think that given that probably one of the big problems is getting that initial, like if a recruiter or hiring manager is on the fence and they're looking at LinkedIn as a tip them in one way or another, that's where I think it really can backfire. Because I think to your point, I mean, I don't even know if they're going to look at your LinkedIn page after you're already into the interview process. I mean, they could. Yeah, I think that's in general, like, I think it's a good take it for what it's worth. I think the main thing is have a strategy. That's probably, I know that's where I've lacked something here is I haven't had a strong strategy. Like, what is it exactly that I want to put out there? And it's not just personal, there's a lot of talk about brand yourself. What's your executive brand? But it is being deliberate. So I think that's, it would actually that kind of what it is and shaping that. I'll point to like, let's see, I think I put that on like page 7. It's something I picked from some other piece of content that was shared that I thought was helpful. Let's see here. But kind of trying to define what do whether it's executive brand or whatever, but understanding who is your target audience. It's like basic marketing 101, but sometimes when it comes to social media, that goes out the window. And it doesn't have to be super strict about it too, but just trying to understand who is it that you're trying to reach the most. And then really looking at like what do you want to be consistent about? Because I think it's your voice too, what you say is if it's really all over the place, it doesn't do anything for you if you're coming in at a mid to senior level, right? Because you're representing yourself.
I think, before you start with any of that, it's like what is the outcome you want
Mhm.
with the content, or what's the goal? Like, I mean, just like with any marketing, you start like, okay, I'm going to do all this stuff, but what do I want to happen from it? And then
Mhm.
guide it that way.
Which is right, exactly. Before we endeavor to do anything, we really should know what that outcome looks like, what our desired outcome is, rather than just go on a gut reaction. And it's an excellent point. That should be the starting point. Um, and then kind of tailoring from there. Like, how are you going to achieve that? The how to get to that objective. And that can then actually make it easier to start planning what is it, how many who do I want to comment on? And making sure you're following people. Like I noticed, Kara, you mentioned sometimes it's a little bit difficult to like not finding much that you would want to comment on. Those real thought-provoking, like, oh, that's interesting, a different perspective where I actually do, if, we were having a conversation, I might have something to say. And then not editing yourself down to it being a generic comment, but like actually putting yourself out there for that. I'm going to just flip back. These are just as
I
for,
just feel like there's a lot of pressure to be interesting. And I just
yeah,
don't feel it. You know what I mean? Like every day, I'm like,
yeah,
my brand, my this, my that. I'm like, I'm
right.
just trying to show up and show what I can do and be, I'm just, it's a lot of pressure. So a lot of times
Yeah,
I don't post much really unless I stumble on something really fascinating to me because again, I feel like it's all been said, but I am more a fan of personally for me engaging with other people.
right, right. Well, and I think that's also a strategic decision too, right? It's like I agree, right? Like a lot of times, I mean, that's why I often don't post is I don't feel like I have anything unique to say. But since I've shifted to being like I need LinkedIn to start helping me in the job search, now I'm making it a strategic channel, which isn't how I would normally. If I have a job, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm trying to set out to do now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of an extra kind of, and then
I just don't, I mean, I would love that. I would love it if I could feel that.
yeah.
I'm struggling to feel that, I guess is
Well, and
what
I
I'm
don't,
saying.
yeah, I don't think it should be forced, and you shouldn't be forced to also like comment. What feels right to you. And where do you get value? Because, to Joe's point about ROI, it's also how much time you put into it is dependent on how are you seeing, like to Eric's point, what is the outcome? What is your objective with this? And are you getting that kind of return for the inputs you're putting? Are you getting what
Yeah.
is that giving back to you?
Like I'm seeing some people that have gone like whole hog with like posting like multiple times a day.
Mhm.
And I read it and I'm like, so what? You know what I mean? Like I'm just
Yeah.
reading like not that everything you post has to be groundbreaking, right? But
No,
it's like I'm just like you can tell that some people are doing it to just like spit stuff out.
sure.
And that's where I get like a little like I don't know, like I
Yeah.
guess like they're doing them, right? Or
Yeah.
whatever, or
No,
Chat
you're right.
GPT is doing them. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like some of it I'm just like, that's a little, I mean, okay, I guess if that's what you want to do,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. And some people are putting stuff out there to provoke that kind of also like, why are you putting this? It's sort of, there's this own like kind of culture
yeah.
going on with LinkedIn too, which is also a bit bizarre. But just some things in the I do want to kind of address in the comments here about like Robin's story and what I'll say, I haven't heard back either, by the way. I would say the one thing that I think actually is a rule of thumb, no matter who you are and what your strategy is. It's live up to your word. Like I do really believe that goes to authenticity, but it also goes to credibility because I could go out the window really fast. Um, I think, uh, you know, I've done this too, where some people have said, "Oh gosh, I've been job searching and I found this job and I really want to help others. So I'm giving my time to people to, reach out to me, blah, blah, blah." And I have done that and I've gotten nothing, and I get too that there's going to be a high volume of people who respond to that, but then don't put that out there. Or
Right.
then do go back and edit it or
Or
make a
do it
comment.
selectively through messaging, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the spam bots are bad too.
Oh,
Yeah.
horrible,
Sure,
horrible.
I was going to say, we've had one conversation outside of this, but I get the feeling, and I agree with you about posting and stuff. I think it's just we're cynical.
Yeah.
Gen X man.
Yeah. Well, right. And it can be very difficult to also like because yeah, my first reaction on some of these things, and if I do like I get kind of a little bit fired up or annoyed or something, is like to start typing. I'm like, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Like how do I make this a constructive comment if I'm gonna do it? But
Yeah,
yeah,
I try to
well, and
remember
it's
my social media lessons in the past when I made that kind of mistake on different platforms, and I'm like, no, 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 don't go there.
yeah, yeah. It's tricky. It's a little bit of a minefield, but I think if you're true to yourself and are behaving above board, that's fairly safe. Uh, One thing I did want to put out there as far as because to the what do I post about? I hadn't heard about the 5-3-2 content mix of the 5-3-2 rule. Had anyone heard about that before? Okay.
Mhm.
I thought it was interesting because it actually really put more burden on. I mean, it didn't. I was thinking, wow, this really needs to be original content all the time because I see that, I see that with thought leaders and influencers. I'm like, my gosh, they must have a ghostwriter or they're sitting there and spending hours a week doing this. But I thought it was interesting. And this has been put out there in a number of different places. Not like one single source recommends this, but whoop, wrong page. This,
Christine, do you mind when you have a chance at the end or whatever
yeah.
resharing this because it's not showing in the chat history?
Oh, it's not. Okay. I will post
Just
this
because
on.
I came late, that's why.
Oh, no worries. Oh, actually, yeah,
Thank you.
I'll put
When you
it
have time.
into, yeah. Um, whoop,
Thank you.
wrong thing here. The 5-3-2 is if you post 10 comments or sorry, 10, posts, if you actually post, not just comment, that five of them could be curated. So they're not original posts from you, but you're actually making a comment on something that somebody else has posted. So, and that's when where I'm like, I take one of those five, um, of being like somebody from Peer Pod or somebody within my network where I'm actually trying to give them a little bit of exposure too. I've had other people reach out to me and ask if I would be willing to repost, and the answer is not all, no, not always. But if I have a point of view and something to say, and I really like, what I think that it could use more exposure to is yes, plus my own comments to it. Um, then three original and that's where it really helps to, it doesn't, I think you kind of have to put the notion that I'm going to have anything earth shattering to share out of your head. Because I mean, I know, man, within the world of content marketing, PMO or CMO type stuff, man, it has all been said. So whatever. If I want to kind of tailor where my expertise is in a particular area, like brand or something, then I'm gonna go, okay, I'm gonna go for it anyway and really put stuff out there. Maybe tap into my own experience and say, one recommendation I saw is go to your resume and your resume bullets as a source of your posts. So if you had a particular bullet where you were talking about a program that you did or something, make that a post. In this one experience, blah blah blah, right? And so you're making it not like, oh, marketing 101 or comms 101, this is a best practice, like, okay, whatever. But like if you're telling your personal experience with it, then that is more valuable, even if it's the same principles everybody else is using. And then, yeah, the too personal piece, which can be completely unrelated to work at all. I know for people I follow and look at regularly, I do like seeing that human part of it. I've managed social media for within companies and in jobs as well. And I know that also really helps, like when you're representing a company brand voice, the behind the scenes, the people behind the company also matters in making that human connection. So anyway, I thought it was interesting. It's something to potentially like take a look at. I did throw in here, sorry, I'm a little all over the place, but um, I think I shared this on Slack, but um, a template, you just basically like make it your own. I have a couple of examples in here, but just starting to fill out if you're going to post once or twice a week, let's say you're going to do two a week, so 10 posts a month ish. That doesn't equate anyway. But like, what is that? Half of them, just start plotting. I plan to repost. What did I see this week? And that will be kind of ad hoc. Where am I going to plant my maybe three original posts in the calendar? And then maybe I might want to leave a couple spots open for, personal sharing. And then just putting an alert, like either if you have, I think those tools where you schedule them, they tend to be, to me, I don't have the money to put into a tool that requires a subscription, but um, put an alarm and say, like, set up your LinkedIn post, have it written and everything. Spend an hour of your time just knocking out four of these or something like that, right? And then it doesn't feel like it's this, I don't know, for me, I felt this kind of onerous, I should be doing more on LinkedIn. And it's like, no, if I'm slotting time to do that, like I think that definitely can be more of a time efficient way of doing it. So anyway, what I thought we could do is that I know we have like only kind of 15 minutes left here, but I thought it's up to you. We can either do kind of some free form discussion here about like what types of LinkedIn post resonates with you, because it might give other, those people you follow might give some other people ideas. Put their links in the chat, those people you follow that think do a really good job. Or we can do one breakout and kind of brainstorm some things. Like what would you guys like to do?
I think we should just all stay together. I mean, if you guys don't mind, there's not that many of us.
Yeah, there aren't that many. I think there's only like eight of
Yeah,
us.
that makes sense.
Okay. I, Do you guys have anybody? So I know, Joe, you mentioned, well, this was from the LinkedIn workshop you did. This was Kara. Oh, and then you said, then somebody posted, or you posted Daniel H. So like
Yeah,
if you,
tell us about that. Who is that?
yeah, Joe, I don't know if are you still on? Did you want to share?
Yeah, yeah. So that's another thing, somebody mentioned cynicism, and I don't know if you can be too cynical with regard to LinkedIn. Daniel's whole like soapbox, I think he published a book, is on this thing called pods in LinkedIn. And some of the biggest um, posters on LinkedIn with hundreds of thousands or millions of followers are effectively just AI bots interacting with AI bots. Like I'm not
Right.
gonna, I can't like give you the terms of art and like break it down. Follow Daniel for more on that because it's his whole thing. But I mean, he'll like go find like a big LinkedIn account and comment on a certain way and watch comments roll in and then turn that into content where he's basically saying I'm manipulating all of these pod bots
Mm,
into saying, blah, 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 blah. And they are getting engagement and they are hacking the algorithm, but they've just turned a lot of LinkedIn into that. I mean, I would say a bit of a cesspool. So I just put that out there just so people can be aware
yeah.
that not everything on LinkedIn is as it appears. And I think that's worth knowing as you engage on that platform. And by the way, unsurprisingly, other platforms also have the same thing. So when you're engaging with somebody, it may or may not be a real person, even if it looks like 100% like a real person. And maybe in the mix there is some real person content, but like there could be bottage going on in the background.
Hmm.
That's actually a good point too. Certainly, I don't know if you guys have heard this, but I've certainly heard a lot about the benefits of post starting to do video posts, which I cringe. I try to do one, but but it does break down a perception that maybe you're not legit either, right? Like whether it gives you more exposure or not. I am hearing fairly consistently on different groups that I'm in and different, job coaching and stuff that it is getting them more traction to
Mm.
Yeah.
put out
Okay.
video. But
Yeah.
then this is also like, how are you going to follow up with that, which is
Yeah.
the tricky part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been hearing the same. Uh, you probably also follow JT O'Donnell from
Yeah,
Work It Daily. That's what you're
love
hearing
her.
all,
Yeah.
all days. Yeah. Um, and just anecdotally, she also pushes the McCoy app, which is a video app, right? It's similar to Loom, but it's an app where you can record 1 minute videos and you can create a reel with different types of videos, or you can actually record a personalized video. Let's say that I'm interviewing with Megan. I will record a personalized video to you, and I will only make that link available to you when I email you or message you or something like that. And so I did subscribe to that app, and I have a reel, and I have done personalized videos, and I have seen traffic. I have seen
Cool.
because you get the notifications when someone has opened the video.
Oh, that's
You
helpful.
actually get an email that says someone is watching your reel or something like that. I
Wow.
What is
include
it
I
called again?
included the McCoy
McCoy.
app. It's an app. It's not even a website. It's an app. Um, and I put the link to my McCoy reel on my resume,
Oh, cool.
and I've been
Oh,
getting a lot of hits, a lot of notifications of someone is watching, someone is watching, someone is
that's
is
amazing.
watching. So
That's fantastic. And I did hear JT had mentioned this. I think the McCoy people mentioned it, but also gosh, there was a recruiting firm that had done a session recently, I think, and they said they were very cynical, by the way. And they were like, yeah, this doesn't work, don't bother. But they did say if you're trying to follow up with somebody and stand out, especially if there's a actual like job and you're trying to get to that hiring manager, if you send a short video recording, that gets noticed. Like they will click that link because it's totally different than just a PDF. So, um, yeah, I threw the link in there. I think that's the right link for McCoy. Um,
Fernando, can I ask you just for a quick overview? Like, so the video that you're putting with your resume, is it just like your elevator pitch? What is it if it's going to several
Well,
places?
it's a reel. It's a series of four or five different videos
Oh, okay.
because um, just think of them as reels, right? So you can create different reels, different videos with different topics. So I have one with my intro. I had one with my strengths. I had one with my passions or something like that. But
Okay.
then you can also, as part of those reels, you can insert PDFs or images.
ooh, nice.
Wow.
So
Oh, this is so
you can write a
fancy.
little bit around a case study, for example,
Good
and you
grief.
can include a PDF or an image of that.
Fernando, would you be willing to maybe put in PurePod, like which one of the channels, maybe resource or just an example, if you're comfortable with of one of yours, it would be uh, really cool, I think, even for guidance for those who are, trying to figure out how to build one of these. I think it's a great idea. Each
Yeah,
reel is
I can
like
do
what,
that.
15, 30 seconds? Is that how does that?
It's a minute. It's a minute.
Okay.
That's one of the cons that you cannot go over a minute.
Oh,
And
okay.
sometimes when you are talking to a hiring manager, it's really hard to stay in that time frame. The other good thing about it is that it actually has a teleprompter. So
Oh,
you go in, and when you are about to record your video,
yeah.
you type your script.
Nice.
And when you hit record, it starts running it as a teleprompter.
And this
Ooh,
is free?
I think it is $10 a month or something like that.
Okay.
wow. That's great because then you also feel like then you've got the eye contact thing, which is
Hmm.
so awkward when you're trying to
Yeah,
follow a
yeah.
script or something.
Is
Um,
it a minute of video or a minute for the whole reel?
Per video.
Okay. Sorry. I don't do a lot of video, so.
no, that's cool. Actually, it's good practice too, I think. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys are encountering. I have had this once so far, encountering an AI bot interviewing you and you have to respond. And
It
for me, it wasn't unlimited re-records. It was like you get one re-record and it cuts you off after a minute. And I was like, okay, this is not.
And was there a countdown clock too?
No, it just cut me off.
Oh,
So I was like, well, that was a fail. Give
yeah.
me a rejection notice now.
Oh my
But I
gosh.
realized that that could actually be kind of helpful to test out as practice. And I think I hadn't experimented with it yet, but there was an AI tool that there's so many AI tools right now, but that somebody had recommended that actually was really good for interview practice where, and it gives you it dove deeper. It wasn't just like, here's a series of questions for the practice side. It was like, based on your answer, it will dive deeper. And I thought it was really good for just developing a better conversational
I
style.
thought I tried the Teal interview practice. I
Yeah.
mean, I have a subscription, so I don't know if it's only the subscription, but it's based on like the job description that's
Yeah.
attached to. And that was pretty interesting, I thought.
Yeah, Big Interview is another one, I think.
Okay.
It has a library of job descriptions and it'll kind of go through some of those. Um, but yeah,
Can
I
you
think
attach a job description to it? Like a specific job description?
it really was looking at, sorry, job titles. It has a library of job titles. But you actually, the one that I hadn't tested yet, and I'll have to go back and test it and then I can share, was actually taking a job description. You upload the job description and it will generate
Yeah.
based on the job description, which I thought was a really good. That's
That's
just,
what Teal did. That's what Teal does.
oh, cool. That's great. Yeah. I think that's awesome. I don't know, unless you're a master with interviewing. Um, I don't know. I always feel like there's ways to kind of hone that and tailor it. When you get to that point, you're actually getting the interview. Boy, you want to try not to blow it.
Yeah.
Work out for a bunch of reasons, but you don't want to be your own reason.
Yeah.
Cool. We're coming up on time. This has been a really great discussion. Keep adding into Slack. I did kind of put a LinkedIn, what I call it, LinkedIn clinic or something. If
Mhm.
share your ideas, and I also whether we put it there or regular posting, I don't know. There's another group I'm a part of that actually like is a channel's dedicated to here's what I posted this week, so other people could comment on it or share.
Hmm.
So we could do that, share. I think Alex does that, which is great. He posts every Thursday. And Andrea,
Net is like a 5 times a day machine, man. I don't know.
oh, and
It's
Ned, yes. Oh my
it's
gosh.
insane.
It's really good stuff too. Yeah, I
The one he just did, there's one he did today about this one AI job tool that's really fascinating what he uncovered.
oh wow. Yeah. So let's follow, I'm sure we're all following each other anyway, but that's a great place to start. And even just sort of as a making a personal, like try to comment on at least one, maybe Pure Pod member a week and help to kind of support some others. I know it's paid in spades for me, and that's not why I'm commenting on or, but it really, really helps with making the whole giant world out there feel a little bit smaller. So, well, thank you all. I hope you are able to join tomorrow. We have a speaker at 9. Yeah, which I'm really excited about. The tool is using LinkedIn, and it's all about um, basing it on job opportunities that are through your connections, and then if you friend like it also can also show you not only like job openings that are related to the connections you have, but those who you have friended within that Warmer Jobs app. It will also show while you are 1 degree away from somebody in
So
the
so
company.
I just want to share. I've tried this tool because I saw him in another workshop. The export of data for your connections does
Did you
not work if you have a free account. I have tried multiple times.
really?
So yes,
Okay.
I've tried the steps many times. It does not
Oh,
export your connections, even though it says it will. It does not. So I would be curious to know if somebody with a paid account is able to export their connections.
I
So
did.
I've been unable to use it because I've
Okay.
been trying for a few months. Just
Yeah, I'll go back to him and actually ask, that needs to be shared. So
yeah, I can't. I mean, it says it's exporting, but I don't get that. It exports other stuff, but not that. It's very weird.
it
I'm
should give
guessing
you
it's because it's free.
a full folder.
Yeah,
I did
it
this the
didn't
other.
give a file for connections. It gave other stuff. It gave my posts. It gave other stuff that wasn't used by that tool.
Okay.
But I wasn't on, I guess, that session. Why do you need to export your contacts?
It
Haven't
We
is
been.
haven't had it
you
yet.
you upload that. So I'll just share really quick. This is what
It's in the announcement section. She has the instructions. It's for
yeah.
meeting tomorrow, a session tomorrow with a guy who's developed this search tool called Warmer Jobs, and the tool uses the data from LinkedIn.
So it takes a little while to export your full LinkedIn connections and profile. The export folder gives you a lot, basically every file, everything from your LinkedIn. What you specifically would pull is gosh, I mean you can
It
pull
doesn't it doesn't give you, yeah. You have to follow the instruction sheet is good, but it doesn't work if you have a free version, and I don't know why.
um what you would do with that tool if you do get to the export is then you import this and it basically shows it will then it will search your own network for like I've got 5,000 people in my network or whatever. It will look through all 5,000 to look for where there are jobs in the companies that are on their profiles. So it's a step in that direction. But I will follow up with him and find out
Yeah.
the free because that's a pretty significant.
Yeah, and it's really strange because LinkedIn leads you to think that it will download your connections as part of the archive. But then when
Yeah.
you get the file, like I'm trying it again now. This is like the third time I've tried it over a few months because I think I was in the first thing where Alex found this guy.
Okay. And the
I think it was
first
one of
export you
Bogdan. I think
get,
it was one of Bogdan's workshops that this guy appeared at. It
hmm,
seemed interesting.
okay. Yeah, I did a demo. We spent about an hour together going through it. So, but I have a paid account, but like the first export you get that's within the first 20 minutes, it only gives you a portion of the files. The full export usually takes like
Right.
longer than that. And that's why he said, like if you want to, let's do this all together tomorrow, is to try to have that in advance. But let me check into that and see on the free account.
Yeah.
Great, great.
Yeah, because I've tried and I've waited the 24 hours and all that, but I
Mm.
haven't gotten it to work. So I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or if it just is a fail with free accounts.
No, I'll definitely look into that. That's an important.
Maybe
Thank
he
you.
knows. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Also, do you feel comfortable, Christine, reaching out to Robin? Because none of us have heard from
I
her
have.
on,
I've
okay.
actually reached out like to the point of annoyance, and her
Okay.
and yeah,
I
I
I
can
just
ask
didn't know.
I can ask Steve Campanini because I think he's paid
is a
some
paid.
service with her, and he and I are colleagues and we work in the same town and known each other forever. So I'll ask Steve
Yeah.
about
I
it.
mean,